I know in the last video, which at this point was recorded quite some time ago, but I know in the last video I said I was going to get to a 2-pack. Well, that is now a half a 2-pack. We are just looking at one figure because I just don't really care about... yeah. Anyway, Generation Select Shattered Glass Optimus Prime. This is the Earthrise mold in purple, and it's... Okay, so the main reason I got this is because anyone who's been watching this channel for an extended period of time, especially in the past month, knows I like to do the Nemesis Prime thing. I prefer, if I can, to get a Nemesis Prime version of an Optimus Prime figure. So I've got the, Nemesis Prime version of Siege Prime, the Nemesis Prime version of Beast Hunters Prime, that kind of thing. The reason why we're looking at Shattered Glass Prime is because I realized after a while, it just doesn't seem like we're ever going to get a black repaint of the Earthrise mold. And I like the Earthrise mold. I've got a third of it in Legacy Scourge. but I like the Earthrise mold. I prefer the Siege mold, but I do like the Earthrise mold, and I wanted to have a Nemesis Prime for the Earthrise mold, but since I figured that we're probably never actually going to get that, Shattered Glass Prime is the next best option for me. And of course, is kind of annoying to get because the aftermarket prices is just like people trying to ask twice the cost of the 2-pack for just this one figure. Fortunately, Hasbro recently reissued, at least as of this recording, reissued the 2-pack of Shattered Glass Prime and Shattered Glass Ratchet, so I got that mostly just because I wanted Prime. I think Shattered Glass Ratchet is okay, but the reason we're only looking at Prime is because I'm currently trying to sell off Ratchet because I just prefer the Siege version of the mold versus Earthrise because I don't care for the big plank. It's not that I don't mind it's not that I'm super bothered by the parts forming, it's that the integration just doesn't work as well as I'd like. And it's just kind of clunky. And also, you've got the feet sticking out the back, but I don't know. I really like the colors of that Shattered Glass Ratchet, but I'm just not the biggest fan of the mold. So, getting rid of that, but hanging on to Shattered Glass Prime here. And as I said, this is it's Earthrise Prime, but in purple, basically. Nothing new on this other than the colors. No new molding, none of that. And I'm totally fine with that, because again, like I said, I like the Earthrise mold, but in these colors especially, I want to get the repro label set for this guy. I haven't done it yet. I hope to eventually, but the repro labels look really good on this guy, so at some point. But yeah, this is just moving along. This is the Earthrise truck cab. It looks fine. Something that does kind of bug me, and this is just the mold, is these little flaps here. They're designed to fold out, and then they actually peg into the undersides of the elbows here. But every time I do that, it looks like the cab is kind of tilted forward ever so slightly, and I don't really like how that looks. But if I fold these pieces away and put the truck cab together, now it just kind of, it's still... it doesn't look like it's tilted forward as much, but now it looks a little bit gappy around the back, and it's just a little bit what can you do? Also, if you do this, you can bend the knees, which doesn't look great. I mean, they're not loose or anything like that, but it's just, I like having that extra locking points to keep everything solid, and if you don't flip out the panels, you don't get that. But if you do flip out the panels, the cab kind of tilts forward, so it's a little bit annoying. But for now, we'll just leave the panels unfolded. But yeah, it looks good. I like the combination that they went with here. I don't pay too much attention to Shattered Glass Prime, so I don't know how average this color scheme is, or typical. I know the purple is there, but I don't know about the really dark blue. I don't know if that's a part of it. I don't know about the gray. But I do think that this purple with this really dark blue and the kind of dark grays and gunmetal-y colors work really well here, especially in robot mode, but we'll get to that. it just looks really good. You've still got the typical Earthrise problems of like the feet just sticking out the back. The legs don't really do much in terms of transformation. Yeah. But the windows are at least consistent with this translucent yellow going all the way around. I appreciate the little bullet hole that they've got tampographed on there. That's a nice touch, which, as I understand it, is pretty common for Shattered Glass Primes. Silver Evil Autobot logo on the side there, just the one side, and then this gunmetal stripe that goes all the way around, which looks really good. And the yellow for the headlights I think is fine, but I kind of feel like maybe a different color to differentiate it from the windows would have been nice, but this may be what the color scheme, demands. I don't know. The wheels, it does the typical Earthrise Prime thing of the wheels not matching, which I don't mind the rims not matching, and from what I understand now, that's actually normal. It's actually very common for truck cabs, especially like actual real-world Earth truck cabs, to have like the 2 or 4 rear tires or rims not exactly the same as the 2 front. So that's fine. What bugs me about this is the tires back here are black and these tires are gray. That is a little bit annoying. It's not terrible, it's just, I just feel like it would have been nice if these were black to match these. The rims being different does not bother me in the slightest, but just the tires in the front I feel like should have been black. But yeah, aside from that, it still looks good. I also really appreciate how they went the extra mile of either, I don't know if they painted this wheel well trim in gunmetal or if this is made in gunmetal plastic and this was painted purple. Okay, it's purple plastic. So yeah, I appreciate the fact that they painted this detail in gunmetal. That's really nice. And yeah, it's just, like I said, it's a couple of times, it's the Earthrise mold, and it looks good. And these gas canisters really do need to properly lock in place when they're folded out, but whatever. And it's the Earthrise mold, so all the same praises and criticisms that I and anyone else has ever levied at it, same exact deal. Now, size-wise, once again, it's the Earthrise mold, so it's a Voyager scaled, but approximately liter-priced figure. So there is how he stacks up with our usual size comparisons. And get these out of the way. And bring in Burnout, and that's first. I hurt myself transforming Burnout. I didn't know that was possible. Pinched my finger when I was collapsing her legs in. Anyway, there is Shatterglass Prime with Burnout, and from this angle they kind of look to be about the same, but there's more bulk to Earthrise Prime or Shatterglass Prime because Voyager and more goes back there. And because they're basically the same. I mean, they're not, but it's definitely the legs are very similar. Here's Shatterglass Prime with Siege Nemesis. So Earthrise versus the Siege mold. And finally, and most importantly, here he is with the Duck Tank. Seriously, kind of impressed that I managed to hurt myself transforming Burnout. Anyway, before we transform what is basically Earthrise Prime into Earthrise Prime's robot mode, if you like this video or any other video that I've done and you'd like to support the channel, I've got a Ko-fi, Patreon, links to both at the end of the video as well as down in the description. Otherwise, you can always do the typical YouTube thing of like, comment, share, subscribe. Now, if you know the Earthrise Prime transformation, you know how this is going to go. And if you just want to watch a refresher, well, enjoy. So first, going to take the Ion Cannon, and unplug it from the back here. I appreciate that it stores, it doesn't hide super well, but it gets out of the way. So just unplug this. Long peg. We're getting there. There we go. It's a very long peg. But yeah, unplug this. And with this unplugged, can pop this up, fold it around, and there we've got the completed Ion Blaster, and it's, again, just a Earthrise Prime Ion Blaster, but in gray now. So there's that. I'll just go off to the side. I'm going to fold in these gas cans, and I just tab in right in here. There's just a little tab that tabs in there, because they're going to get folded in anyway. Now, I'm going to do, this is just how I do it. So I'm going to untab the wheels from the hips. There's this little tab here that plugs in right in here. So untab those. That allows you to bring down the legs. Then untab the legs and open up the toes. You just fold the toe out, fold the heel back, and that's all you do for the legs. I've said this before, but I really prefer the Siege mold, how the legs kind of flip around with like the wheels flipping around to the inside and these covering panels along the sides coming down to fill in the gaps in the backs of the legs. Here, all you do is fold out the feet and like fold in gas cans. That's just kind of disappointing. But oh well. Now, going to untab this panel from here and untab this panel from here, and then pull back a little bit and rotate the arm out. And once it's rotated out enough, you can just straighten this all out, rotate it there so that the bicep is facing, or the forearm is facing the right way, pull out this door, and flip out fist and close that back up. And I'm just going to leave it facing back like this for now. Again, open the door, pull this back and rotate it out. And then fold down the little door for the fist, flip out the fist, close it back up. There we go. Now, I'm going to unplug the front section here from these two tabs right above the bumper and swing this up. There are these little flaps back here that fold in and fill in the torso. They don't tab in solidly like they do in the, or in this one at least. I don't know if this is because it's the reissue or what, but like these used to tab in pretty solidly on the Earthrise figure. Here, they sit just fine, but those tabs aren't really doing much. But yeah, those swing around to fill things in. While we're at it, let's just give the waist a rotation to get that part done. Okay, now going to pull this whole front section and rotate it up. And this one in particular, like right here, there's this lip. And on my original figure, my original Earthrise figure, I had to shave this down a bit. But right here, this kind of catches here. So I find I just need to like brace my fingers here to push down while pulling this out. And that gets it past there. And you can kind of see how it, like when I'm pushing, it doesn't want to go. But it does eventually pop into place. So if it feels like it's not moving, that's probably where it's catching. But with that done, this can rotate out. Then all these panels fold in, all the way in, and then the front grille section pops down, swings around to the back side there, and just kind of will sit there and swing the arms out now. And then take this panel, pull it back, and swing the head out. And this is another thing that I think is different for this one. I find that for whatever reason, the head panel doesn't quite line up with, because there's this tab here that needs to tab in here, and it doesn't quite line up if I have it like flush. So what I end up having to do is tilt it just slightly up more, and then bring this in to get it the peg lined up with that peg hole, and then just kind of bring them both down as I connect them. It's fine. It's just a slightly weird nuance to everything. Anyway, this can now fold down because the head's not in the way anymore. And make sure it clicks so that these bits are flush along the top. And this comes down, and these tabs here will tab in up here. And finally, just take the little bumper section here, flip it up and around, and then these flip in and will tab in right back here. And just kind of plug in to give him lower back wheels. Not quite butt wheels, but there we go. There is Shattered Glass Prime, and he is Earthrise Prime, but in purple and gray. And he looks really cool. Like, it's a cool mold, but I will continue to maintain the Siege mold is actually better. I feel like when this came out, all of us, myself included, were, really impressed because it's the new thing, and also it's more G1-y. And now, like, we've got G1 in so much G1, too much G1, and also the, Commander Class Optimus Prime, Studio Series 86 Commander Class Optimus Prime is right around the corner as of this recording. It may be out by the time this video goes live, I don't know. But, like, now we have that for our Super G1 accurate Optimus Prime, so it kind of makes this look a little bit whatever. Whereas the Siege version, it's G1-ish, but it's still different enough and does enough, even more interesting things with the transformation, aside from what goes on in the chest and, like, torso here, because that is cool on this guy. But, like, the Siege version just does more, and I feel like it works better as a standalone figure that doesn't need to be G1 accurate, because this mold is kind of pointless for G1 accuracy now that we have the Studio Series 86 version. So yeah, anyway, this is still a cool figure. I do think it'd be really nice to get Nemesis colors for it, but whatever. This is what we've got. And I do think this is really cool. The color here is great. It's, the same kind of colors that we got in the cab mode, where it's the dark blue, the purple, and the dark gray. And it's kind of laid out in a similar fashion, where it's basically like, just color-wise, it's kind of like this, where most of the purple of the cab is up here, then you've got the gray going along here, and then you've got the dark blue back here. And that placement of the color in large chunks doesn't really change when you get to robot mode, but it still looks quite cool. And you do get new details. I mean, everything you're seeing down here is the same, and depending on what you did with the panels here, you saw some of this too, but, like, now you've got the waist section, the midriff section, which has that faux truck grille, but, like, it looks good. You've got the arms, where you're just seeing the fronts of the arms and the fists now. The torso is, like, the chest is the same, but I think that's cool. And around back, I do think it's kind of cool how he cleans up. The wheels are a little bit like, but it's fine, and they don't really get in the way of the waist rotation. They kind of do, but I feel like you can get a pretty decent waist rotation before things start clashing into them. So yeah, it's a good color scheme. The thing that really kind of sells me on this, though, is the head. Because there we go. Because it's just the Earthrise Prime head, but, like, that dark blue with the red eyes looks really menacing. The gunmetal for the faceplate looks really good. The almost like slightly greenish yellow or slightly yellowish green, like, neon that they used for the head crest, as well as the little waist pieces here, looks really good. I love how that works with, like, the red eyes and the dark blue. It's a really nice combination of colors. And it just works so well. And again, like, it's funny how, as far as I can tell, this is the same head sculpt that we got with Earthrise Prime. They didn't do anything to make it look more mean, but when they put it in these colors, it looks so much more mean. Which is, I guess, it's just an interesting thing I've been noticing as I've been doing a lot of videos this past Nemesis September, I should say, in that a lot of Optimus Prime heads, if you change the colors, look really aggressive. It's not a complaint, just an observation. And I really cannot wait to get this guy repro labeled up to where he's got, like, the kind of battle scar on the faceplate or whatever that is, and some of the other stuff going on. It's going to be cool. But yeah, this is a really nice color scheme. It works really well, and this mold really benefits from looking more angry. Now, for the articulation, the head is on a ball joint and can actually get pretty expressive. You get some pretty decent side side-to-side tilt, can look up pretty decently, can look down pretty decently, which is good, because the looking down, I think, really works for those like intimidating angles. And the head can rotate 360, has ball joints. The shoulders can go all the way around. They can go out to 90. They do pivot slightly off center, so if you go down, it looks like the shoulder's now way down here, but like I think it's fine. It's a little bit odd, but it's fine. You get a bicep swivel. You can use the transformation joint as like a reverse butterfly, and it can go all the way back, which is pretty typical of Optimus Primes, but still really cool. You get a 90-degree elbow bend because transformation. The wrists do swivel, and they get a little bit of in and out wiggle. You also get opening and closing fingers. All 4 fingers are pinned, but they open and close. As I mentioned, you get a waist swivel, which does get impeded by the wheels back here, but if you want, you can kind of bring this down. You have to bring it down pretty much all the way in order for this to clear those tabs, but if you bring this down, you can go around all the way. And I will talk about this later. But I still think you don't really need to move it. I think that's plenty of waist rotation. The hips can go forward to 90. They can go back about that far. That's pretty much all you're going to get because of all the stuff going on back here. You can go out to 90. You got a thigh rotation, which is a little bit tricky to use because of how this is angled. If you bring it out and try to rotate it, it catches because this is cut at an angle. It's not flat. It's kind of going up slightly. So as you bring this out and you try to rotate it, that bit that's kind of sticking up catches on the kind of butt skirt. So you basically have to like bring it out more to get more rotation, or bring it in more to get more rotation. So there are certain angles where it's a little bit tricky to get the rotation and everything working nicely together. But it does work. The knees can bend well past 90. Single joint, but very nice bend. And then for the feet, you can angle the heels, you can angle the toes down, and then you get a up to 90 degrees of bend at the ankle. It kind of stops here, but you can push past that if you want. So, pretty posable, which shouldn't be a surprise because I feel like most of us are familiar with the mold at this point, but still. And then he has his gun. You can use the peg on the side here to peg it into his back for storage. Or if you really wanted to, you could peg it onto the forearm for that. But, of course, you can also just put it in his hand, and it just slides right in, and now he's holding his ion blaster, and it's fine. The gray I'm not the biggest fan of, just because it kind of matches a little too directly with the thighs and midsection and hands. I feel like if this was a different, like if it was the darker blue, maybe it would stand out more. If it was black, that'd be great, but I'm sure there are molding reasons why it's not that color, why it had to be that color, but whatever. And because it is blast effect compatible, but it's not feeling good. Like, it's pretty loose. Like, it's holding, but not well. I don't know if that's mold degradation or what, but yeah, you can use a blast effect with this, but it doesn't hold super well. But that takes care of all of that. Now let's move on to the last little section here and talk about size. So here he is with Buzzword the Dinobots, and Over Prime, and Samus. So this is technically a leader figure, but this is the 2-pack figure that comes with Ratchet. So he does not come with the trailer. So I feel like this is more like he more sits between a leader and Voyager, because he's a little bit bigger than your average Voyager and has more complex engineering and more parts than your average Voyager. But he's also still not quite at the leader level because he doesn't have like some of that extra stuff that he normally would come with. It's fine. It's the Earthrise Prime mold. We all know this. I've said it enough times. I feel like it must have sunk in at some point, right? And whoop, there goes Over Prime. Here he is with Burnout, who I did not injure myself on this time. And yeah, definitely taller than Burnout. Okay, stay. And get her out of the way, bring in Siege Mold, and they are very close to the same height. Like, I feel like the Earthrise figure looks a tiny bit taller. Just a teeny tiny bit. It's really hard to say, though. Like, having Siege and Earthrise, or effectively Siege and Earthrise next to each other, it is kind of interesting how the torso always looked kind of squished and the legs overly long, and the proportions on the Siege one always look better to me in terms of the torso. But I think if you look at it, like, the actual torsos aren't that different. There's like just a tiny bit more torso, like in this section here on the Siege mold. And I think it's more the pelvis that's making the difference, because this pelvis is just kind of like functionally just like a bar going straight across, whereas this one, it's got more of that like triangular shape to it, which I think makes the torso and midsection feel a little bit more proportional. But it's also kind of funny because at first glance, the legs look identical. They're not, but they look identical. But of course, there's a lot more going on with these legs. So yeah, they're very similar, but also different. And they do different things. I like them for different reasons. I still think and will consistently stand by the fact that the Siege mold is the superior of the two, especially now that we've got Studio Series 86 coming. But that does not mean that I think the Earthrise mold is bad, because I think it's actually pretty good. It's just, I think that the Siege one is better. Anyway, Duck Tank. And that just about does it for Shattered Glass. Generation Select Shattered Glass Optimus Prime. However, I do also need to talk about the Matrix, because it comes with one. So yeah, you can just pull open these doors, and there is the Matrix. It's fine. The effect is definitely somewhat diminished here because the handles are the same color as the rest of the Matrix chamber. So it's really just the purple and the yellow that sets it apart. But then that purple, even though it's kind of like a metallic-y purple, it's still very close to the purple around it. So it's not super standout. And like the yellow is very, very kind of bland looking because it can't light pipe with how this is done. So yeah, the Matrix inside the chest is pretty underwhelming. But it does come out. Try and get this out of here. Come on. Come on. There we go. So it does come out, and it is just, yeah, this kind of sucks. It's just translucent yellow plastic, and they didn't even paint it all the way around. It's just on the front. I actually don't think I took this out of his chest yet, so I'm just realizing this now. But yeah, they just painted the fronts and the little like purple circle around the outside. That's actually kind of funny. Maybe it's just mine, but I don't know. That's really kind of hilariously sad. But it's a Matrix gimmick, and I do not care about those, so it's going to stay in there. But the one thing I did want to mention with regards to mine, I don't know what happened, but if you notice, this door is fine. This door is kind of floppy. And like it pegs in, but it's also not that difficult to come out, and like it's a little bit it's a little wiggly. This one doesn't do that. This one wiggles. And I don't really know what's going on here. I can't, like, that doesn't look like anything's cracked or stressed or broken. Because I've looked at this door from a few different angles, and nothing looks broken, as I said. But it's just wiggly. I don't think it's in danger of coming off because there's a pin that goes all the way through this entire assembly here. And even if you look at it from back here, again, like doesn't appear to be cracked or damaged in any way. It's just wiggly. But yeah, that pin goes all the way through, so it's not like it's going to fall off unless it straight up breaks, but it doesn't seem like it's in danger of breaking. It's just weird that for whatever reason I got a wiggly heck door, but it doesn't when it's connected like that. Like, it doesn't really wiggle when it's closed, and it's not like gonna pop open on its own, so it's fine. And I do not give a crap about the Matrix gimmicks, so it's fine. It's just a thing that I noticed, and I don't know if it's mold degradation, QC, or what, but that's a thing that happened on this one that I got. But anyway, that is going to do it for Shattered Glass Optimus Prime. As I said many times, it's just Earthrise Prime in different colors, but quite honestly, he looks better in these colors. I like Earthrise Prime for what he is, and I do still enjoy the mold, but the darker, more sinister colors just work much more nicely for me. Like, I just find them much more appealing and much more interesting on the mold than the typical red and blue. And yeah, Optimus Prime heads just tend to always work as intimidating when they're in darker colors. But I will again restate that Siege mold is better. That doesn't mean this one's bad, just that the Siege one is better. But also, now we've got the Studio Series 86 one to look forward to, so yay! Hopefully that's going to be cool, and hopefully when mine gets here, it does not have the upside-down heels. We'll see. But that's all I got to say, so thank you everybody for watching. What are your thoughts on whether it's this guy, whether it's Shattered Glass Prime, or the Earthrise mold in general? Are you also still kind of holding out hope that maybe we'll get a Nemesis recolor? Because at this point, probably not, but it'd be great if we did. But whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And we're going back to basics with the next video. Not Beast Wars basics, different kind of basics. Still basics.